Welcome back to Reddit Stories, where we explore the most heartwarming real-life stories from the Reddit community. Today, we're diving into a story that has netizens hot on the heels of a heated debate about the line between individual rights and shared responsibilities. The story is titled AITA for moving out of my shared apartment without telling my roommates until the last minute. This story comes from Reddit user UQuietExit34. We'll call her OP, a friend who is trying to make peace with her irresponsible and chaotic roommates. But sometimes, silence is the strongest retreat. OP lives in a 3-bedroom apartment with 2 college friends, Gina and Melissa. At first, they seem to get along well. They watch movies together, split the rent, and go out to eat together often. But after a few months, the dark side of living together begins to show. Gina often brings her boyfriend home to spend the night. He's very loud and takes over the living room. Melissa hardly ever cleans up. Dirty dishes pile up for weeks. The trash is never taken out, and the bathroom is always moldy. OP has tried to politely remind them, even called a household meeting, but nothing changes. Gradually, OP began to feel like her own home was no longer a place to call home. Things came to a head when Gina threw a big party without asking her permission. They invited over 20 people to the apartment, including strangers, alcohol, and loud music until 3 a.m. OP had to work remotely the next morning, and when she woke up, the apartment was littered with beer cans, cigarettes, and unidentified stains on the carpet. OP decided she couldn't live like this anymore. She quietly searched for a small studio apartment near her job. Luckily, she found a suitable place that same week and signed the lease. OP knew that if she gave notice, Gina and Melissa would make a big deal out of it, try to convince her to stay, or worse, make the move difficult and stressful. So she decided to keep quiet. On moving day, she rented a truck and quietly packed up while Gina and Melissa were away. When she left her keys and a note saying she was moving, OP felt a strange sense of relief, like she had just emerged from a long nightmare. After OP shared her story on the AITA asshole subreddit, the post quickly became one of the hottest posts of the week, garnering over 40,000 upvotes and thousands of comments from Reddit users of all stripes. The majority of the Reddit community strongly supported OP's decision and thought she was being too patient. You/boundary queen. You gave them multiple chances to change, but they chose to ignore you. You don't owe them any explanation. This was a very polite and civilized exit. You exit without drama. I have been in the same situation as you. Sometimes a quiet exit is the only way to keep your peace. You, House of Chaos. She's living in hell and still trying to negotiate nicely. I support her 100%. Some users took a neutral stance, trying to understand both sides. You considerate steps. I understand why OP felt like she had to leave quietly, but I also think a few days' warning could have helped her roommates prepare better. You, fair play Redditor. Both sides are responsible. But silence can sometimes be hurtful, even when it's justified. Some OP critics, although in the minority, some people think OP should have been more direct than quietly moving out. You, Straight Talk 101. I think OP is a little immature for not having a direct conversation. They deserve to be criticized, but not for running away. You, Tough Love Rant. If everyone just quietly leaves when they're in trouble, what kind of relationship can survive? Learn to communicate better. The most upvoted comment came from You Not Your Doormat, with over 19,000 upvotes, who wrote, "You are not their mother, you are not their trash collector, and you are definitely not their punching bag. Leaving is not a betrayal, it is saving yourself." This comment has been retweeted in many other threads and has inspired a series of discussions about personal boundaries in shared living spaces. The topic has also opened up many debates around the culture of sharing living space. Many people share their experiences of living with bad roommates and the difficult decisions they have made. The fatigue of being the carrier in rental housing. A new wave of posts has emerged where people talk about always being responsible for cleaning, paying rent on time, and living with irresponsible people. Leaving quietly doesn't mean you're weak. It means you've had enough. After receiving overwhelming support and thoughtful advice from the Reddit community, the OP returned with a short but noteworthy update. The update was posted just a few days after the original post, and it quickly became one of the most anticipated pieces on Reddit. Summary of updates. OP confirmed that she moved out of her apartment early Sunday morning as planned, while her roommates were still fast asleep. She moved in with a close friend, where she has her own room, and is feeling incredibly relieved. She describes her new place as a quiet haven. How her roommates reacted. After waking up and realizing OP was gone, they were initially confused, then angry. One of them texted the OP, accusing her of being a traitor and not appreciating friendship. However, the OP chose not to respond to those messages. OP said she didn't feel guilty, but rather felt like she had been released from a toxic mess. Interestingly, a former roommate later apologized, saying they understood why OP left, and even admitted that things got out of hand. OP described herself as feeling more relaxed and sleeping better than ever. She felt like she had let go of a ton of pressure. In her final post, she wrote, "I used to think I was being selfish by choosing myself first, but now I know I was just being true to myself." OP also thanked the Reddit community for helping her see the problem clearly and giving her the courage to make this important decision. This story is more than just a moving story. It's an internal struggle between social responsibility and self-preservation. OP clearly feels trapped between living with people who don't respect her and the fear that she will be seen as a traitor if she leaves without notice. Feelings of injustice. OP feels disrespected, taken advantage of, both in terms of living space and housework. Potential guilt. Despite her decision to leave, she wonders if she was being too cold by not giving notice. Release and relief. After leaving, OP describes feeling like she breathed again for the first time in months. OP's conflicting emotions resonate with readers because these are situations that many people have experienced, especially when living with others. Reddit acted as a mirror to reality, helping OP see the truth more clearly. Thousands of commenters gave OP an objective perspective, emphasizing that she was not the one who was wrong to choose what was good for herself. Similar stories shared in the comments made, OP realized that this was not a personal fault, but a situation that many young people have faced when living in a group. Reddit acted as a community therapy, helping OP to unburden herself before making a decisive action. Character analysis. OP, narrator, an introvert, peace-oriented, but also has clear limits. She endured for too long, but eventually learned to put herself first, which is not easy for someone who is sensitive and prone to guilt. Roommates. A clear manifestation of disrespect for personal boundaries. Signs of emotional manipulation, when you react harshly without realizing your own mistake. The friend who apologized last shows that there is still hope for growth, that someone in the group has seen the real problem. Lesson learned. You don't owe anyone silence when they are hurting you. Giving notice isn't always the right thing to do, especially when it could be harmful. Personal boundaries need to be clearly established, and people who don't respect them shouldn't be in your life. The internet isn't just a place to tell stories, it's a place to get empathy and a different perspective. Making decisions for your own safety and mental health is never selfish. And that's it for today's thought-provoking story on Real Reddit Moments. A seemingly simple story about moving, but it opens up so many profound issues about personal boundaries, the right to live safely, and the courage to leave a toxic environment. OP, with all her patience and silence for months, finally made the right choice for herself, even though it made her the bad guy in the eyes of her roommate. But the Reddit community has proven that sometimes you need to leave in silence to be able to hear your own voice again. If you've ever been in a similar situation, if you've ever felt forced to endure just because you're afraid of offending others, remember, you're not wrong to protect yourself. What about you? What would you do if your roommate didn't respect your personal space and made you feel suffocated every day? Do you think the OP should have given notice to maintain social courtesy, or do you fully support the option of leaving quietly? Share your perspective in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for taking the time to read. See you again in the next Reddit stories, where seemingly ordinary stories contain extraordinary lessons.